The trading post on Verith 9 hummed with the usual cacophony of a dozen species conducting business. Kor, a Thraxian merchant with scales like burnished copper and a temper to match, slammed his four-fingered hand on the counter, his throat sacs inflated with rage as he glared at the human across from him. "You worthless, soft-skinned filth." Kor's translator crackled with the venom in his words. "Your kind brings nothing but chaos and lies. Cheating scavengers, every last one of you." The human, a weathered trader named Marcus Chen, simply stood there, arms crossed, his face an unreadable mask. He'd been in the outer sectors long enough to know that rising to provocation only made things worse. The disputed cargo manifest between them wasn't worth a diplomatic incident, even if Kor's accusations were completely unfounded. What neither of them had noticed was the small crowd gathering behind Kor. 3 Lyrene cubs, barely reaching Marcus's waist, had wandered away from their guardian's stall. Lyrene were a species the Galactic Council had designated as protected younglings. Their kind didn't reach full sapience until their 3rd molt, but even in their juvenile state, they possessed a fierce loyalty and a disturbing tendency toward literal interpretation. Luma, the smallest of the 3, tilted her head at an angle that would have broken a human's neck, her large luminous eyes fixed on Kor's throat sacs, which continued to pulse with each insult he hurled at the human. Her fur, soft and silver, bristled slightly with curiosity. "Should we bite off the loud part?" Luma asked, her voice carrying that peculiar harmonic quality all Lyrene possessed. Her siblings, Tor and Kessa, inclined their heads in identical fashion, considering the question with unsettling seriousness. The trading post fell silent. Every species present understood what had just happened. Lyrene cubs, in their pre-sapient state, operated on a simple pack logic. Threats to those nearby were dealt with swiftly and permanently. They didn't understand nuance. They didn't understand that Kor was simply being belligerent, not dangerous. Kor's scales went pale. He just realized he was standing between 3 Lyrene cubs and what they now perceived as their charge. Every merchant, every trader, every spacer in the outer sectors knew the stories. Lyrene cubs had once torn apart a Krell warrior who'd drawn a weapon near a human child. They'd disabled an entire security team on Station Helios 7 when someone had shoved an elderly human vendor. "Wait, I didn't mean..." Kor stumbled backward, his translator struggling to keep up with his panic. Marcus finally moved. He stepped forward, positioning himself between Kor and the cubs. Then he did something that made every alien present question humanity's survival instincts. He knelt down to the cubs' eye level. "Hey there, little ones," Marcus said softly, his voice carrying none of the authority or command one would expect. "That's kind of you to offer, but I'm okay, see? No damage done." Luma's head tilted the other way, but he used angry sounds. He showed aggression posture. "Pack friend protection protocol requires..." "I know what the protocol says," Marcus interrupted gently. "But here's the thing about humans. We use a lot of angry sounds. Sometimes we're actually angry, and sometimes we're just loud. It's a weird thing we do." Tor, slightly larger than Luma, stepped closer. His nose twitched as he scented the air around Marcus. "Your stress pheromones are minimal. You were not frightened?" "Nobody. Not even a little bit." Kessa, who had been silent until now, spoke in her characteristically analytical tone. "This confuses our threat assessment matrix. Thraxian aggression display is unmistakable. Why did you not respond with counter-aggression or submission?" Marcus sat down cross-legged on the station floor, completely at ease. Behind him, Kor remained frozen, afraid that any movement might restart the cubs' protective instincts. Around them, the crowd watched with a mixture of fascination and disbelief. "Because," Marcus explained, pulling out a datapad from his jacket, "humans learned a long time ago that not every fight needs fighting. See, back on my world we had this saying, 'Don't wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it.'" Luma's eyes widened. "Your world has hostile pig creatures. Are they pack designation or enemy designation?" A ripple of what might have been laughter passed through the alien observers. Even in this tense moment, humans remained unintentionally amusing. "It's a metaphor," Marcus said, bringing up images on his pad. "Look, I'm going to show you something about human history. Maybe it'll help you understand." For the next 20 minutes, Marcus showed the cubs images and videos from Earth's past. Wars that had devastated continents, conflicts that had nearly destroyed their entire species. And then, The long, difficult journey toward understanding that violence, while sometimes necessary, was never the first solution. We humans, Marcus said quietly, we've been the monster in our own stories too many times. We know what unchecked aggression looks like. We know where it leads. So when someone like Core here gets upset over a cargo manifest, I understand it's not worth fighting over. Credits can be replaced. Trust once broken is harder to repair. Luma sat down, her siblings following suit. This is complex. Our pre-molt minds struggle with abstract concepts. I know, sweetheart. That's why I'm not asking you to understand everything. I'm just asking you to trust that I know how to pick my battles. And this? Marcus gestured at Core. This wasn't a battle. This was just noise. A larger Lyrene, presumably their guardian, finally pushed through the crowd, her adult markings prominent on her fur. Cubs, what have I told you about wandering? But Guardian Mother, Luma protested, there was a threat display toward a soft one. Protocol demanded, protocol, the Guardian said firmly, is meant to protect, not to harm over harsh words. She turned to Marcus and performed the traditional Lyrene bow of respect. Human Chen, my deepest apologies. They are still learning. Marcus stood, dusting off his pants. No harm done. Actually, I think they learned something valuable today. He looked at Core, who still hadn't moved. And maybe some of us adults did too. Core's translator finally caught up with his racing thoughts. Human, the cargo discrepancy was my error. My assistant miscounted. I apologize for my harsh words. Marcus extended his hand, that curious human gesture of peace. After a moment's hesitation, Core grasped it with his own. As the crowd dispersed and business resumed, Luma looked up at Marcus one last time. Human Chen, when we reach full sapience after our third molt, may we seek you out? We wish to understand more about choosing not to fight. Marcus smiled, the expression warming his weathered face. I'd like that, Luma. I'd like that very much. In the vast tapestry of galactic civilization, it was a small moment, one angry alien, one calm human, and three confused cubs learning that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their capacity for violence, but their hard-won wisdom to know when to withhold it. That, perhaps, was the most terrifying thing about humans. They knew exactly what monsters they could be, and they chose each day not to be.